It was a rainy night, and Ethan sat in his small, dark apartment. He stared at his phone, scrolling through social media. People posted about their fitness routines, successes, and amazing lives. A mix of jealousy and frustration stirred inside him. He wanted to be like them, strong, fit, successful. But every time he thought about starting, something held him back. His gym membership card lay on the table, unused. His running shoes sat in the corner, still clean. Every day he told himself, "Tomorrow, I'll start." But tomorrow never came. Ethan dreamed of becoming a professional athlete and changing his life. But he was stuck, waiting for motivation to push him. He believed one day inspiration would come, but it never did. One evening while scrolling, Ethan found a video. A former Navy SEAL was speaking, and the title caught his eye: "Why Motivation Won't Get You Far." Ethan almost skipped it but pressed play. The man in the video said, "You don't need motivation. Motivation is weak. It fades when things get hard. What you need is discipline. Discipline is what separates winners from everyone else." Ethan paused the video. He had always thought motivation was the key. He believed if he waited long enough, he'd suddenly feel inspired to start. But what if he was wrong? A small spark ignited inside him. Maybe it was time to stop waiting. The next morning, Ethan's alarm rang at 5 a.m. His first instinct was to turn it off and go back to sleep. "I'm too tired. I'll start tomorrow." Then he remembered the video. Discipline is what separates winners from everyone else. Ethan forced himself out of bed. He put on his gym clothes and laced up his running shoes. The cold air hit him as he stepped outside. The streets were dark and empty. His body felt stiff and his legs were sore, but he kept going. Each step felt heavy, his lungs burned, and quitting seemed tempting. But he didn't stop. When he finished his run, he was exhausted, but he felt proud. Not because he ran fast or looked strong, but because he didn't give up. For the first time, he didn't let excuses stop him. For weeks, Ethan stuck to his routine. He woke up early, ran, and went to the gym. Every day was a challenge. His body ached. His mind whispered, "Take a break, start tomorrow." But he didn't listen. One day, after a tough workout, his friend Jake called, "Dude, you've been working out every day. How do you do it?" Ethan smiled. "It's not motivation, it's discipline." Jake laughed. "Discipline? How do you keep going without motivation?" Ethan shook his head. "Motivation is temporary. It comes and goes. Discipline makes you keep going, even when you don't feel like it." Jake sighed. "I need inspiration." Ethan nodded. "That's why you're stuck, Jake. You're always waiting for motivation, and that day might never come." Months passed. Ethan grew stronger, healthier, and more confident. Then, life threw a challenge at him. One evening, after a workout, Ethan's phone buzzed. It was a message from his mom. His father had suffered a heart attack. Ethan rushed to the hospital, his mind racing. The next few weeks were a blur. He barely slept, stayed with his father, and worried constantly. He didn't have time to work out. His body felt drained. One morning, exhausted, Ethan stood outside the hospital. The weight of everything made him want to give up. A voice in his head whispered, "You don't have to work out today. It's been a tough week. You deserve a break." But then he remembered, discipline doesn't care how you feel. If he didn't keep going, he would fall back into the same cycle of excuses. So he put on his running shoes and went for a run. It wasn't easy, but it was the hardest run he had ever done. And when he finished, he realized something. Discipline is not about motivation. It's about doing what you said you would do, no matter what. A year later, Ethan stood at the starting line of his first professional race. Every run, every gym session, every early morning, it was all driven by discipline. It wasn't motivation that got him here. It was his ability to push through even when he didn't feel like it. The starting gun fired. Ethan surged forward. His legs burned. His breath came in short gasps, but he kept running. The other runners were faster, but Ethan wasn't focused on them. His race was against himself. He remembered the countless mornings when he didn't want to get up, the moments he wanted to quit, but he didn't. Crossing the finish line, Ethan didn't care if he placed first or last. The real victory was the journey. He had broken through his own limits. And in that moment, he understood, discipline doesn't just change your body, it changes your mind. It gives you the power to overcome anything. Ethan's life wasn't perfect, but he had learned something priceless. Success wasn't built on fleeting inspiration. It was built on the quiet, consistent actions taken every single day. As he looked ahead to the future, he knew that no matter what came in his way, he had the one thing that could never be taken from him: his discipline.